And here we are. Happy full moon. I had to think. I was going to say new moon. Happy full moon in Taurus. We always record on a Taurus moon. I don't know why. It is what it is. But we are me versus we. I'm Katie Shasky. And I am also SuigenerisRegenerate as my brand name. And I am also a tarot reader in astrology ship posting only, one of the only approved ASO tarot readers still left standing. And I work with Michael Schultz and pretty much all things lately online. And he is the admin godman of ASO. And together, our podcast is called Me versus We. We sit here and discuss things on from the axis perspective of Aries versus Libra, and it is very interesting. You should listen to the whole thing.
It,
Michael,
it will be
introduce yourself.
extremely. um, I'll introduce myself really quick. So my name's Mike. I run a page called Mutual Reception Astrology. It's on Substack. I've got some videos on TikTok. I'm on X at Mars and Scorp. You can find me a lot of different places, including on Facebook at Astrology Ship Posting Only. Um, I'm a Libra, and this Taurus full moon has been, I'm going to be honest, a little bit of a downer. It's been a lot of really heavy energy. How have you been feeling it, Katie?
I've been feeling huge amounts. I've been fighting it, but it's existential crisis. I've been feeling like I have so much to do as far as my calling, my spiritual calling. This Taurus energy is in my 12th house, and there's things that I can't see that I need to change, and I can feel that I need to change, but I don't know what they are. So I keep submitting myself to a higher power and just taking the steps to follow my excitement. That's what Bashar says to do. And Bashar was absolutely right about the possible time of contact, by the way. Anyway,
Oh,
I'm but
yeah.
I'm just saying Atlas 3i is lining up really well with what Bashar had to say. But going back to this mood thing, it feels like everything in the right now, I'll just say the physical aspect of the Taurus full moon is a peak energy of being afraid about like how I'm balancing my finances for this month with not having government assistance for food. That's about like almost $300 a month that's going missing this month up for so long. I don't know. They say maybe I'll get some of it at some point this month, but budgeting for food, budgeting for my business, making sure that I'm continually investing in like the apps I need to invest in to be able to create ebooks and all these other things. I'm scared about balancing everything and having something to eat on the table. So that's a physical outward appearance of stress. But then, like I said, there's the thought process, the emotional connections that go with all that. I've deeply gone, because it's my 12th house, I've gone to Lulu. I've decided that this time in my life, with money being the way it is, it's and the government assistance being taken away right now from the government shutdown, it is going to be the beginning of the best story of my life. That's actually a cord cutting of a sort of a sense of being in a soul debt to the government, and not having that assistance is actually going to make my money come in surprising ways, because it's setting me free, and it's creating a void, and that void will be filled with magic, and that's what I've decided. So that's, I mean, as Delulu as that is, that's the only way I've been able to carry through this without having crushing depression, because
That
I was
is some
like
beautiful Delulu.
my
And
my
I
self-care.
hope it becomes Trelulu.
I absolutely like, I believe that. I believe Taurus energy can take those wounds, those physical wounds, and really run too far with it if it's in the wrong place in your chart. Um, I'm sure you understand exactly what I'm talking about. You can actually doomify pretty much anything if it doesn't seem like it's predictable. The second something is unpredictable, the Taurus energy will start to freeze, fawn, fight, buck, whatever they got to do to survive.
Yes. I I only have like one placement in Taurus in my chart, but it's like Chiron. So
It's
it
heavy.
tends to be connected with wounds for me. It's in first house, so it's like I always have like had a pretty weird relationship with money. Um, in that I don't want to be ruled by it, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
I've watched a lot of people, like, I think that there's like maybe a sweet spot of it where like things aren't hard, but your life does not, the more money you have, the more you get isolated in some ways too. And a
Like
lot of people
I
love it, but
Tyler Durden was absolutely right. What you own ends up owning you.
yeah. And
True.
there's like this big part of me that like bucks against that. But this Taurus moon has felt like I'm digesting a lot of bigger picture kind of cultural issues, especially in relation to some of the transits that are, coming up and about to get a little bit more high pressure. And I'm in a spot like of disillusionment. And there's been this message that I've been getting lately that it's not my responsibility to hold up, to try to fix what's broken. What my responsibility is as a soul is to
Mm.
help build what comes next. And
Oh fuck!
that
You've
is,
been working on the wrong shit.
yeah, so that has been like a big message that's been coming through for me like for a
I love
while.
that.
And I think it's pretty true. I think that there is to a certain extent, like the heavy things that I was
Wow.
processing was just kind of all empires through all of history have had their rise, their peak and then
Yeah.
their fall. And I feel like to a certain extent that's kind of where we are. We're at the imperial fall part. There might be some what they call retrenchment, where there's like a some kind of movement to try to hold it together, but even though there's all this heavy stuff happening, I've got a lot of hope for the future. It's just been heavy chewing because
Mm.
I kind of process emotions differently under a Taurus moon. I have to just sit with them until I've chewed over them, with my heart and mind,
Well,
Um,
you got to chew that cud in order to fully come to a conclusion. The mind-heart connection cannot be ignored.
true.
What did I say? Mind-heart. I meant to say mind-gut.
Oh, that God is pretty amazing. I mean,
Serotonin, man.
it is an amazing thing. And I think like, we're going to find in the future that a lot of these things that are just kind of common thinking, like your gut instinct, your intuition, that they have some basis, that's beyond just the woo, And I think that maybe it's, you know, maybe our souls aren't so connected with time. And maybe it's like, our oversoul giving us a little nudge about the future, or it's you know,
I
our
don't
guardian
think
angel, like
like Deepak
stepping in
Chopra
for
has.
us.
I agree because Deepak Chopra hasn't been telling all of this stuff for like 40, 50 years for no reason. He is got a background in medicine, biological medicine, and metaphysics. He's been crossing these lines for us together and putting these things together for us for a long time. He would have wasted a lot of energy for what?
Right.
This man's a neurosurgeon.
This is kind of a sidetrack, but hopefully we can kind of go on it for a second.
Rip it.
It's just it connects to me a little bit from Deepak Chopra. But you've heard about the astral, right?
Yeah,
The so many people can operate in that. I think hippies usually call it like channeling, or more, certainly, but CIA agents would call it like astral projection, right? Because
absolutely.
they have the more scientific basis for what they're doing. But what I was reading about the other day that really connected with me was how much like kind of occultists sometimes and magicians get lost in the astral. And the astral is like the place of kind of all thought forms, egregores, like organized belief systems. Like belief makes things real in the astral. So it's kind of the realm of
True.
nightmares too. But it's not physical, It's like almost an illusion. To a certain extent, it's illusory.
Yeah, that's a tricky thing.
For sure.
Only
But I mean,
because when you're
you
in
can
the
feed it.
astral, your body responds to it as if it's real. So when you're dealing with the astral, it doesn't go like you can't draw it in backwards, from the body inward, but from the outward, you can drag your body into it, if that makes sense. So
Yes.
it's a very tricky thing. That's why I'm saying that.
But what was interesting to me, like the thought that really got stuck in my head and I had to chew on for a while last night, this was one of the things that I had to chew
Mm.
on, was that a lot of the reason that, because there are levels above that, you know, like some would call the next level up like fifth dimension or whatever. You call the astral the fourth, and then the fifth dimension is maybe the archetypal, like, so it feels to me that a lot of people that get into like spirituality and occult, they just kind of get lost in the
Yeah,
astral, and that's like because you could spend your whole life like playing around in that ocean
yeah,
of thought and ideas, um, but there is something above that, and I think maybe that is the role. I mean, religion has been perverted a lot, but maybe that is the role that religion has played, and why over the course of time it's like, push people away from occult traditions.
mm,
I don't know, I was thinking about that a little bit uh last night, that it's a lot of there's a lot of traps in the spirit world where we can get lost, for a time. So again, this is like Taurus moon, heavy thoughts. uh Sorry to listeners if it's too heavy, but if you're going through these kinds of thoughts
nah.
too, just know that you're not alone, and it's okay to, get heavy every once in a while.
I have more to add to this thought. But these people, like, I think anybody that knows our work and kind of hangs out in ASO, they're pretty deep people for the most part, unless they absolutely are just listening because they hate us. Otherwise, like, hi, thinking of
Hey
you.
haters, how are you doing? It's been a
But
long time. We miss you.
yeah, well, we think about you occasionally, not every day. All right.
Haters.
So when it comes to these levels, you were just talking about the astral. There's esoteric, where it's the inner hidden knowledge accessible only to a few initiates. Then you get to the mesoteric, which is an intermediate level between the exoteric, and esoteric, focused on developing the understanding and practice behind the outer forms. And then the exoteric, the outer or public level of knowledge intended for a general audience. A lot of people that get introduced into spirituality find themselves getting stuck in the exoteric because they have the bells and whistles, the crystals, the uh the hours, the planetary hours. They're trying so hard to have every single outward reflection back that, like, look, I'm really on this path. Look at what I'm doing. Yeah, like, there's the exoteric. This is what most people digest and perceive as spirituality. Um,
Which
that's
is kind of the spiritual egoism trap, right? Which
Yeah,
tons of people get caught in.
I think when it comes to the
Everybody
astral, that
does,
is
I think, at
that
some
is the
point.
gateway. That is the gateway drug to getting stuck in the astral. Is my point. Is that outward appearance of I'm constantly plugged in, wherein everything needs a cycle. That is what is nature intends. So I think people, as they continue to study and start realizing that spirituality is a little bit more like the Tao Te Ching, where the heavier handed you are, the more destructive you're going to wind up being.
Hmm.
And sometimes, the appearance of doing nothing is the most spiritual move. So, like, you kind of get into this kind of trip where you got to really look at your own inner motives for being involved at a certain level of spirituality, and if you want to even get deeper, because being stuck in the astral, like I can say that throughout my 20s, um, I believe that's what I was doing, not only to survive as a survival skill, but also because I thought it made me a better person, and simultaneously it made me a terrible person at the same time, because I was
Yes.
never grounded enough to have decent boundaries. I was not even here. I was agreeing to everything. So, and then I was miserable. So physically I was here, but I wasn't present. And that was extremely damaging. It's several different types of, what they call disassociation. I think I went into religious psychosis a few times, honestly, because knowing myself, like that was a way of coping with the circumstances that I didn't have enough knowledge or backbone to change at the time. So getting stuck in the astral is a drug in and of itself, because being in your body and moving your energy takes responsibility. But that's one reason why I talk to most of my students every time I'm talking to somebody that's learning from me is, are you moving your body? The second they're telling me how they're feeling, if they're feeling depressed and heavy, whatever, are you moving the energy in your body? Because often those endorphins that you'd be creating in exercise are actually the key to solving your problem.
Yeah.
You don't get motivated without momentum. You have to get the momentum started before you get the motivation. It's science.
Get your body moving. Sometimes you get your energy flowing. Sometimes you get your mind moving, and you get to that next step for sure.
And you can't
Um,
stay stuck in the astral while you're physically moving your body.
hmm. Oh
They
yeah,
start
that's
to
true.
marry
That's true.
they you really need to stay moving. I promise. I was stuck in Delulu, and that's the only way I've been able to stay grounded, is to work out like I do. Go to the gym.
Go to the gym, people. This is inspiring me to start finally,
Or
lifting a
even
little
like
bit more.
maybe
Um,
even body weight, doesn't matter. Just move your fucking ass around a little bit and you'll be a better psychic.
I've got two dumbbells here. I'm going to start using them. I'm going to do
That's
it
what's up.
this time. This time, it's for real.
Make it
Um,
fun.
but yeah, it's like I think that a lot of people get caught up in like collective Delulu, and I think that like that
This is
is the
true.
thing that
See,
is
that's
really
that's so
coming
we of
towards.
you. I love
Yes.
this.
The collective Delulu can be, it can be Delulu that we just believe because, um, it's kind of like in Game of Thrones where the Dothraki would just say it is known. Some of our
Mm,
Delulu is just, it's been passed down for so many times we've never really investigated it. So it's just known. Some of it is like, um, deliberately implanted through like media or what have you. So some
Disney.
Delulu is like legitimately disinformation or misinformation that's
Right.
put into our mind on purpose. But and some of it is just like what we'd like to believe to be true, because that would make this world a better place, more utopian.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like almost all those forms of like the bigger picture Delulu are going to kind of hit their breaking point pretty publicly over the course of the next couple months, because we've got
That makes
Saturn
sense.
about to start moving forward again. It's been retrograde in Pisces. It's going to start moving forward, and it's going to start closing the gap between Saturn and Neptune. And they're going to meet up at 0
Mm,
degrees Aries at February 21st. So I feel like, especially early December, we're going to start feeling, Saturn kind of gives a sobering appraisal of things, and Neptune is very, it flows. It can be anything. It almost represents like the
it does.
astral, I would say.
Yeah.
So when Saturn goes, heads towards closer and closer to Neptune, it just closes that gap. It's going to be one of the biggest shifts we've lived through. Um, and things are just going to get a little bit more spicy because at some point, in order for us to move forward, we've got to stop believing certain lies that are keeping us stuck in loops that are unproductive for our whole species.
Yeah,
Um,
I was gonna say, I think this energy is gonna force people to make a decision, much like I talked about the EBT situation, where I've decided this is the best part of my next chapter of my life. This is where it begins, and that's a decision. So I feel like the very decisive Aries energy inside coming up.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, I mean, Saturn and Aries traditionally, and Saturn will be in Aries again, I think, uh, either mid January or early February. It's one of the two. No, wait, it's mid February is when I think it's February 14th that it moves back into Aries. But sorry, I'm pulling from my memory.
That's
Um,
okay. I don't even
but
have the dates in my head.
when Saturn moved into Aries the last few times in American history, it's always coincided with like less public support
Mm.
for the
Mhm.
people from the government. It's just it last time it was there was during Clinton, when it was like the welfare to work, when like welfare as we know it was changed, um, which was a big shift in the US. There used to be a bigger social safety net than we have right now. And it feels like it's kind of like a ratchet. Like they have so much stuff to spend their money on, which is not us, that anything
Mhm.
spent on us is like they're they're going to get tighter and tighter about it, especially as debt rises because you have to pay the interest to the debt. So there's less for everything else. Um, so that whole shift, we can expect that we're going to have to become more sovereign over the course of the Saturn and Aries, especially Neptune and Aries era. Um, and there's going to be a crisis that forces us to realize that. And it sounds like you already kind of have been like, well, this is the circumstances that the world is giving me. I could be upset about it, but instead you're deciding to just
It's the it's
redirect your
the
energy and
it's the
put it
me.
in what you can control and what you can do.
It's the me philosophy of being an Aries, right? I'm an Aries stellium. So I'm going to feel these things probably quicker and sooner than, some others along the way, but because I react quicker. um it's just the way, as a person that is not focused on the collective, because it's in survival mode capacity, right? When you're in survival mode, you don't think about what's going on the other side of the planet. You just
No,
don't. You just don't have the luxury of doing that. It is a privilege to be able to think about how everybody else is doing.
true.
The me versus we aspect of this entire show. I'm an Aries, so I'm showing the display of what it's like to have to deal with the inner dialogue that of reclaiming a sovereignty in real time. So this is fun. We'll keep stopping back from month to month and talk about it.
Yes. And, as a Libra, I'm just trying to lay out the bigger
You're great.
ideological challenges that are
And we need
part of
y'all
this.
because
Yes.
not everybody can be as self-involved as the Aries representatives. Like, not we need everybody. We
It's
absolutely need a full working chart for this whole system of
even the
community and
Capricorns, maybe especially the Capricorns. We don't know. Even the
dead.
cancers, even the cancers. Somebody's
Even the
gotta
Cancer Capricorn axis, yes. The
somebody's
moms and
gotta
the dad.
buy the sports memorabilia. Somebody has to. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry,
Yeah,
Cancer. I'm
somebody
just
has
kidding.
to make runs on the what is it? The Beanie Babies.
For sure. Sorry, cancers. Cancers are turning this off right now. They're turning off the podcast. They're like, "How dare you? My feelings are hurt. I'm going to go eat ice cream and cry." Now
You were
they're
gonna eat
actually
the ice
doing it.
cream anyway.
Yeah, you were probably going to cry anyway too. Come on, let's be honest. Um, but yeah, the bigger picture, I think, of it's kind of the tightening vice of reality coming home to roost. Like lies can only last so long, and the more that the truth comes out, the more untenable the lie gets, you know. But if there's a lot hanging on a lie, like a lot of money or a lot of power hanging on a lie, people are going to hold on to that like from their fingernails because people
Yeah.
hate to admit that they've been fooled. Like
This is yeah.
it's and I get that. It's a pride thing, right? Like I can't believe like I believed in this, you know. I can't believe that I believed in the, you know, the doctors or the I can't believe that I believed in the WHO, the World Health Organization during COVID. What the fuck was
I'm
I
like, they
thinking,
were
you
a
know?
band. Oh wait, hold on.
What happened?
I mean, you said the Who, and I was like, that was a real band in my
No,
head.
no, not the band, the World Health Organization.
Oh,
Um
Katie, get on board with the fucking government.
yeah, get on board. Come on. We're going to give you a bunch of really weird fucking directions and we expect you to follow them.
I'm over here
Um
on Keith Moon. Like, that's not the
you
same.
you can't go to, you know, your you totally keep moving. You can't go to your grandma's funeral, you know, but if you want to, you can protest in the streets, you know. It was like all of these conflicting
Crazy.
realities. And that was a big wake up, I think, for a chunk of the population. Um, was just the way that society handled that, the amount of pressure that was put on
And I will
um,
say, I agree with.
people.
I remember you saying that that was a dark feminine energy, and I can't look away from that, and because it's true. I mean, in the ways that I have a mother wound, and there's a
Hmm.
lot of dark feminine energy in my relationship with her and the way she's expressed herself over my whole life. And, that was exactly how the government was acting. It's like, we're going to let you know if you can have Christmas or not,
Yes.
but you can also eat in a restaurant without a mask.
Yes.
Huh?
And certainly the government can, you know, like I think what was interesting was all the pictures that were coming out of people that were like putting these rules into place and they were out eating with each other, you know, with
Yeah.
no masks and all the like. I think Gavin Newsom got caught doing that
For real. I
from
remember. Yeah.
California. Um, so it was like rules for thee and, you know, rules for thee and not for me was a big kind of sub theme of that.
For
But that
real.
was like just, you know, it's just one step towards disillusionment. And people have had like 100 little disillusionments. Like it's so there's a ton of people that are already like they're well on the road of disillusionment. They're ready for the illusion to burst, I guess, you know?
Yeah.
Um, but then there's people that are going to have to speed run it, and that is like the vice energy of this approaching conjunction in 0 point Aries. Because once it hits that, it's a whole new game.
I, it's,
Um,
I think
but
it's
up to
really
that point,
important. Sorry, I'm totally
go ahead,
interrupting.
go.
ADHD. I feel like it's really important to make your decisions about how you're going to feel now before Aries. It's like kind of Neptune and Aries, where you're going to have so many anger emotions and frustrations popping up, and you won't be clear. You won't have a clarity on how to deal with it unless you kind of just, while Neptune and Saturn are in the I believe sign of I believe, you got to really nail down what your beliefs are before it goes back into I am, because you believe, become. That's all.
Yeah, well, I feel like that will, you know, how well you navigate this is going to be uh, kind of your starting point on the next era that we're entering into, you know? And there's going to be a lot of pressure on our own beliefs,
Mm-hmm.
on our own like institutions, on our own like even I think this has been something that keeps coming up. I feel like there's three. This is a big part of the Saturn Neptune conjunction for me. I think there's basically three messianic branches of the Abrahamic traditions that are all trying to bring about the end of the world. You know, they and which is
Yeah.
rude. You know, first I think we've talked about this
First of
before,
all,
and we've talked about how it's rude. and that typically trying to force the hand of God is frowned upon.
It's literally
Um,
never worked out, but okay,
it
keep talking.
keep doing it, you know. So that's kind of the outer layer of what's happening. Is there's this confrontation that's happening within the Abrahamic traditions, and there's like a lot of fucking bad blood um, across, you know, the entire world connected with that. And it's getting worse because the people trying to push these prophecies are trying to push it to this point where it's like a conflagration, you know, because each of the prophecies, like, you know, in each of the prophecies, it's them that come out on top, right? Whether it's the Christian prophecies, you know,
Right.
revelations, whether it's like the Islamic prophecies, the Shia prophecy about the Mahdi, or whether it's like the Jewish prophecy, the Jewish prophecy about the Moshiach. Um, in each of those, they're kind of mutually exclusive, right? Because they can't all win, you know, they can't all be the ultimate
Yeah.
winner. So they're all trying to push their thing at the same time. And it's creating like an incredible amount of conflict because that conflict is necessary for these prophecies to come true. So they're trying to spark the conflagration, the fire, the spark, the 0 point Aries that, you know, brings their, you know, truth into the light. And that is the scariest part of what we're kind of sleepwalking into right now, but there are
Yeah.
way more people awake than there used to be. So I'm not quite as like you know, doomer about it, despite my mini Scorpio planets, which just, you know, can doom out a little bit every once in a while. And Taurus moon sometimes you know, exacerbate that a little bit for me, but I'm not dooming. I think that we've got a future that we're going to have to build together. But I think that there is going to be kind of an ash situation, you know, where we have to let the towers that are going to fall, and then rebuild something on a stronger foundation. Um, and I think that that's going to be a big narrative story for not only the country, but to a certain extent, the world over the course of this next few months.
It's weird because, again, faith seems to be something that is a decided thing. It's in somewhat a premeditated thing. Like I decide how I'm going to feel, and I'm open to miracles happening. So I'm saying that right now. Like I'm open to miracles happening. There's not like we can go back in our history and talk about, you know, what we've seen as repetition and things happening. But that doesn't mean that having things like somebody going to be listening to this and start panicking because they're like more government assistance being taken away. Fuck. Like, because you just said, you know, about the Uranus and Aries. What would you say? The
Saturn and
roots.
Aries
Saturn
tends
Aries.
to
My
be,
God, I
yeah,
said the wrong thing.
it's
I
all
was
good.
looking at the word Uranus. Saturn Aries, right? As a repetition for having things being changed or taken away. So I want to talk to that one person that's having the inside light up. I remember what I said at the beginning. This is the beginning of a sovereign story. So having things changed or cut off does not necessarily mean that you won't find a way around it in some other kind of a rebellious way, because we are having positive connections to Pluto and Aquarius. So that means just because a system dies doesn't mean there isn't a way around it or a way to rebel and still have a structure. It's just a change. So open to yourself. Just because it's a change doesn't mean that it's bad.
And if you feel especially that things are bad right now, don't we need a change? I think is also
We
a way to
do.
look at it. We need a
And
change, and we've needed it for a while. And the more that people are just like, well, we're ready for it, the easier the birth of that change will be. Um, you know, it's there's always going to be certain things that,
there's
you know, fall down, but that doesn't mean that we have to fall down with them.
But there's so much power in deciding how you will react ahead of time to anything, any given stimulus. Like, are you shakeable? Are you going to self-abandon? Because that's very Aries. What are you? Who are you? Deep down, or is that defining you? But it's also, what were we talking about before we even recorded? There was a lot we were talking about with this transit when it comes to emotions.
Yes, I was talking about how I have to chew on them. We were talking a lot about chewing.
Mm.
What were you?
Oh, and it
What?
gets worse before it gets better.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, this big transit that's happening up to February, especially after December, early December, it's gonna get uh, tougher. And the reason it's gonna get tougher is because of the disillusionment. It's like shared belief in something is kind of the thing that holds it up. So once there's like widespread like disillusionment and it doesn't hold up as well.
Watching
Um,
dreams die sucks.
it's true, but some of those dreams should have been stillborn in the first place. You know what I'm saying? They shouldn't have
It
ever
kind of sucks.
grown. They shouldn't have ever grown to where. I'm not talking about your personal dreams, everybody out there. I'm talking about the dreams of the machinations. I should call them machinations rather than dreams in terms of the Saturn Neptune conjunction.
Just the diabolical systemic dream.
Yes, the
Maybe even
diabolical
American
systemic. We
dream.
want that dream to die, guys. We want that dream to die. It's going to be much better for us. And it might take action from us, which is probably uh, another part of the realization that some people are getting into is that
No, yeah,
it can't just
I
be
have
done
a
with the mind,
question.
it has to be done with the body.
This is true. We have to have the conjunction of moving the energy through. I say that, otherwise the whole collective country will get stuck in the astral.
Exactly. We'll get stuck fighting our own shadow. It's going to be bullshit just for a long time. And we don't want bullshit for a long time. We want like very focused bullshit for a short time so that we can get to a better world after the focused bullshit. And the lower amount of blood during the focused bullshit, I think the better off we're going to be in the long run, too.
When systems collapse, it's scary, but it makes the building more malleable, and the individual will have a lot more influence with Pluto and Aquarius than you think. And what I mean by the individual is a person who has a strong internal knowledge of self. It's a self-knowledge vibe. Like, I've never known, I mean, most Aquarians that I've talked to recently, not necessarily my mother, but most Aquarians that I've talked to recently, because I haven't spoken to her recently, but she's not very self-aware. She has a consciousness of self, but she's self-conscious. She's not self-aware of her own emotions, and not very knowledgeable about her own motives. So I'm speaking to that Aquarian energy that is very self-aware and knows why they do what they do, and is very metered about it, and calculated. Those people um, have an understanding that there's a time and a place to be weird more than anybody. Like, so I think this individuality that I'm speaking on for Pluto and Aquarius, we have to commit to being so real with our own selves first before it reaches the community, but it does reach the community the most effectively. So it's again a little bit of a me thing. It's not so much a we thing. It's very strange because you will get the humanitarian axis, about the Aquarian vibe. Like, they'll say it's the humanitarian, but it's only a humanitarian as far as it stops by once. It's taking care of everybody. It can't sit there and coddle you for a long time. You're going to get a certain amount of help, and that's it. It's got to
Yes.
move on.
It's
So
it's triage
yeah,
to
yeah,
a certain extent.
we're patching you up, and we got other people to go see. So you're only getting so much of me. And that's something I've had to start doing just on a one-on-one with my DMs and shit. especially after starting this occult group, is there's a beautiful thing that the community wants to talk to me in a certain level, but if I talk to everybody in the capacity that they want me to talk in, I'll be less effective as a teacher, and I will stop building the platform that's needed to be able to handle their questions better. So
Yes.
there's this level of this strong individuality that this Pluto thing is going to start tapping into and celebrating, especially with these trines to the Gemini energy, Uranus in Gemini.
Mm-hmm.
I've been feeling it personally. I feel simultaneously the freedom of communication in community, but also the building of responsibility coming into my sun, energy of my sun, and also believing in myself, because Neptune is also coming into I am. So what are you capable of, and how far are you willing to stretch? All these transits are happening to somewhere personal for me. I'm not quite the Aquarius, Pluto and Aquarius yet, but I do have 9 degrees Pluto. 9 degrees Jupiter in Aquarius.
Oh, wow.
So, and then my MC is in Aquarius in the late, I think it's 25.
So that'll be a few
So
years, but still, it's
it's
coming up.
coming, it's coming into a very personal place for me as far as my personal philosophies and what I think of myself and what I'm capable of and where I'm willing to expand. So then we have the Uranus and Gemini on my moon, and then Mars opposing Mars just went into my 7th house,
Oh, wow.
number one. And then I have also Uranus and Sagittarius in my 7th house at 17 degrees. And so I'm feeling everything early, but it's coming into places in my chart where it's very pointed. It's honing in and I'm feeling it. And it's very easy to go into despair or doom, but I'm it's easy to say easy. I'm trying to find a better word than that, but English is failing me here. It's a slippery slope, but I feel so stubborn with all the fixed sign energy. Aquarius energy. I have a lot of Taurus and Scorpio. My IC is Leo. I don't have a lot in Leo, but except for IC, an angle is an angle. So I feel very fixed in a lot of ways when I get stubborn. I'm very stubborn about the fact that this is the best story of my life unfolding, like more freedom through sacrifice.
Yeah, I
And
think sacrificing extraneous things is a big part of it for sure.
if you
Um,
turn these things that feel like survival mode into a willful sacrifice, you gain your power back and you can choose how to react to things, which gives you the power back again. Things happen for you, not to you, in this way. Sorry, I'm done.
cool. Yeah, that's like a pretty good understanding of how it's going to be impacting your chart. In mine, I'm getting like in opposition to Jupiter from Pluto. Um, in the 11th house, opposing my
Hmm.
Jupiter and Leo in the 5th, which,
Huh.
uh, as far as oppositions go, a Jupiter opposition is not the worst. Um, but it's kind of the difference between like me as a performer or as an
Hmm.
artist, and then how I'm like, how I'm interacting with the community. I think that that's like a big part of how that's going to play out. And then I'm going to have Neptune kind of crossing my ascendant at about the same time that that's happening. Um, so that's and it'll be trining Jupiter
That's
as it's
very
crossing
naked
the ascendant.
feeling. That's like
What?
putting your, that said, that's very naked feeling
Oh, it's
because
definitely going to
you're,
be a transition. I'll be a different person on the other side of it. But
wow.
maybe I needed to do that. Probably I need to do that, and I can kind of feel how I'm changing already. Um, but I'm excited about Neptune crossing over my ascendant. I'm excited about Saturn crossing over my ascendant. I recognize that road might be a little bit lonely for a while, but sometimes that's
Hmm.
the road has to be
Periods
a
of
little bit lonely.
isolation. They're good. Periods of isolation are great for art. So the things you're about to create It's a okay trade. I've been alone a lot more times in my life than I've had somebody in it, as far as like at least partnership. But even my family, I would run away and go be alone in the forest as much as I could.
I did too.
So
That was fun.
it's just I've always gravitated towards that when I'm getting pieces of myself back in order together. That's part of my process. It's the 12th house thing, but I'm not relating myself to that. It's more like for you, that is a whole perceptual belief trip about who you are. So and then presenting yourself in a whole different way in front of everybody. So this
Yeah.
is you have to call the emperor whether or not it's wearing clothes on your own self. That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I was worried about it a little bit, but it's going to be kind of during my Jupiter return. Um, there's a lot of things interacting with my vertex right now, which I I I feel like there's going to be a lot of things that just kind of wake me up to different, aspects of myself. And I'm mostly just excited about it. Like I like going through the big not always during it, but I like going through the big transformations and having to leave behind parts of myself that no longer fit me. And I feel like I've done it a lot of times in my life, but I feel like this might show a little bit more outwardly going into my first house. Like all the
Yeah,
changes that have been happening might be outwardly more perceivable for other people. Um, including like I think it's not just going to be the easy parts, but the pain and like some more of the
that's what I
hardships
mean.
that kind of got me where I am.
It's that's why I was like, whoa. That's why it's very naked, is because you have to kind of invert yourself and become the visible man.
Yes, which is not always comfortable to a lot of somebody with a lot of Scorpio
Like you're
planets.
literally going to be holding your guts out and showing them to people, like, look, look at what I'm made of.
Check it out. Yes. So
That's insane. That's cool though. I mean, transformations are always worth it once you get to the other side, but that's a challenge.
yeah,
That's incredibly challenging.
I'm excited for Saturn to get out of my 12th. To be honest, that's been a long. It's already
Mm,
been isolating, so I feel like to a certain extent it'll be more outward focused in Aries, and I just might
yeah,
have to be. I might have to go it alone just because other people aren't where I'm at. Like what I'm. They're not doing what I'm doing, so there might be aspects of it, the Aries go it alone part that come out from that is my guess. Because I learned like kind of a long time ago that I mean I like, for people to come along with me. I'm a Libra, so I love to have relationship, with people and build stuff. But at a certain point, with Aries rising, I just kind of want to do what I want to do. And people will
yeah,
like hold on to you sometimes because they don't want you to change because they might have to change, with
absolutely.
you. And that's been like a big lesson that's been coming up in my life a lot over the
That's
last
one of the reasons why my
couple of
marriage
years.
broke up. Like I went through that, and I absolutely resonate. It's, when you're evolving, there comes to a point where they can choose whether or not to come with you or not, and it's really sad if they don't. It's hard.
Yep. Um, so what else should we talk about? Should we talk about
And
Uranus and Gemini a little bit more since we already touched on
well,
that a little bit?
maybe for the public, like how it could look as far as communications, and we do also have a bunch of other things like um technology involved. So we have plenty to talk about when it comes to that for the collective.
Yes. We got kind of personal with our own lives and our own charts there for a second.
That's okay. That's what
We're
astrology
allowed.
does.
We're allowed, y'all. I hope you
That's,
enjoyed it. If you
if
ever
you
want to see
don't,
our charts, just make a comment and we'll make a comment
yeah.
on this and we'll send you the charts so that you can see
I
what's
mean,
going on.
I love that about astrology. Like when you first meet somebody that's into astrology, if you can't have a tough conversation about your parents and some traumatic events and the chart that was going on at the time and how the planetary alignment makes sense for this, that, and the other thing, and don't get deep, like you're not really into astrology. You just like fucking cosmopolitan magazines in the back. You're just like reading like stupid sun sign shit.
Yes, that's true. I
This
mean,
is
you
real
gotta
astrology.
you gotta get into it, you know? Like it's such a crazy language to learn. And once you learn it, like it's just there, you know? It's like an overlay of all reality. And you
It
can
really is.
relate like literally anything to it. That's why when people are like, "Oh, you can't talk about like mental illness with astrology," I'm like, "The fuck you can't. You can obviously talk about. You can't be
Yeah,
like
you can.
every time that somebody has Mercury retrograde, they're autistic. You can't say shit like that, you know, in Aquarius or
It,
something.
I'm
But
I'm
you
pretty
can say
I'm
they're
pretty autistic,
signifiers.
bro.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's like
I don't
you.
know, man. I got Mercury and Venus conjunct both retrograde. I am so weird. Not to say that like autistics are weird, but y'all know,
Yeah, I mean,
you're not typical.
they're not neurotypical. Maybe if they get Neuralink, they can be neurotypical. Who knows? Um,
Oh,
I'm just kidding, of course.
that'd be
We don't want
creepy.
them to be normal. We need our autists out there, everybody. We need them.
We do.
Um,
I have something about that. That also ties into the telepathy tapes.
oh, nice.
So you did mention that as something you wanted to touch on. So we have and I think this is going to kind of touch in with the Uranus and Gemini kind of thing because it's a type of communication, no?
Yes. I would say telepathy is maybe one of the older types of communication that we've mostly lost. Um,
Instinctual.
it's a more of an instinctual communication. I bet we'll find out at some point that animals, like some animals, speak through telepathy, like dolphins and things like that.
Absolutely.
Um,
That's why we're not allowed to talk to them.
yep. For sure, they're going to say so long and thanks for all the fish, right? Isn't that what the dolphins are going to do at some point?
Uh,
Um,
I mean, I hope it's a great song and dance too. Like that would be appealing.
in the past, Uranus in Gemini has always coincided with a big shift in communications technology. Like the last time, it was actually propaganda. It was during like the Cold War, after maybe the last year of World War II that it happened, and this is when like probably we built up in the U.S. one of the strongest propaganda departments in history, and that's a new way of communication, you know. Um,
True.
and we actually uh, we were probably we had some of the best propaganda because in the USSR they knew it was propaganda, so everybody kind of like was like, yeah, you can read Pravda, it's supposedly the truth, but nobody really believed it. But in the U.S., we linked it in with corporations, we linked it in with advertising, and we kind of got beyond the natural defenses. Um, and a lot of the psychological basis of that really was in the 50s. That's when it was put into place.
Mm.
Um, and there's this really long video that I really people should definitely watch it. It's called The Century of the Self, and you can find it like on YouTube. I think still. I think it was a BBC documentary at first. It's 5 hours, so it's quite a. You really have to sit down, you know, and maybe take it in chunks. But it gives like the
Yeah,
entire psychological basis of advertising, of propaganda, where it came from, who the thought leaders were in it, how it was applied in the U.S. Um,
fascinating.
but okay, and then before that, like the big new technology was the telegraph, because the time before that was like during um, the Civil War, and that was the way to communicate over long distances at that time. We didn't have a phone yet, but we could send beeps down the line, you know, and that
Hmm.
like changed how fast we could get news from one place to the other. And then the time before that was during the Revolutionary War, and that was when like all the pamphleting was happening. So that's like Thomas Paine,
Right.
it was like the printing press in the US, and we were fighting British propaganda with like our little screeds that people would like basically shit posts about the empire that people would put up on the wall.
Ben
Um
Franklin, the shit poster.
I mean, they were. I mean, they were like join or die.
Damn right
It
they
was like
were.
pictures and stuff like that. It was like
Memes.
sloganeering. Um, it was
Early
basically
memes.
proto memes. And now we're like in kind of this. There's so many different ways that communication is changing right now. We got like a very huge like mimetic shift that's happening where people communicate like incredible amounts of information to the elect like through memes. So
This is
if you
true.
send a meme, there's going to be layers of subtext on it that only certain people are going to be able to understand, um, if you design the meme right. And a lot of information is being done that way now. So it's almost like the community learned how to do propaganda themselves. So instead of like a centralized propaganda arm, now what we have is 1,000 different propagandists all over social media. Conscious people that are,
It's true.
and there's so much negative connotations with that, but like propaganda is basically like messaging, you know. Um, People on the internet, like if they have their beliefs, they can message it now, and they don't have to go through gatekeepers anymore.
No
And then
publishers, no agents.
yeah, and it's changing the entire like it's changed the whole game already. Um, like the only people like really listening to cable news and thinking that it's the truth at this point are the boomers, and
Hmm.
they're getting like teased pretty mercilessly about it. So I don't know how long they'll be able to hang with that. They'll probably eventually shift. um so it's like we're in this new information era. It's a lot more democratized. I think that's like the Pluto and Aquarius aspect of it, the trine. um, but it's also a lot more dangerous because like bad ideas can spread just as easily as good ideas. You know, we could end
Yeah.
up in like a communist or a fascist dystopia pretty
I
easy.
mean, and that's not even talking about how AI is looking so realistic.
Oh, for sure. Like for disinformation purposes, like they can use AI to basically make anything seem real now. Um, which is killing the
Crazy.
boomers, man. I swear to God, like not trying to be rude to the boomers. So if there's any boomers listening, and I hurt your
You can send your
feelings,
hate messages to mutual respect
yes,
us.
send your hate messages to Mutual Reception Astrology. I don't think that there's anything fundamentally wrong with y'all. I think I love your generation, but you did get a little bit fucked by the TV. And I think it's time for us all to admit it to ourselves and to each other. Um,
It's television programming. It's
yes,
okay. We all
it's
went there.
we all went through it. It just was a little bit deeper into your brainstem than the rest of us. So, uh,
It was Leave It to Beaver, probably, or maybe the Andy Griffith Show. It's okay. We love you. Maybe it was Gilligan's Island,
we
but
like
all the
those shows
same,
too. They're pretty good, and Friends was maybe just as bad in its own way.
things
We
was
get it. They've
terrible.
probably got better over the course of time at it, but now we have the internet, and we are no longer under that particular spell. And we'd like you to come along with us. That is my pitch to boomers. Um, but again, that's not the only thing that's happening during Uranus and
Pluto
Gemini.
Leo
But I'm going to give you a
generation.
chance to speak because I was just
Oh,
preaching.
I could go on. I could go on because the Pluto Leo generation, man, like it's an egoic thing. They love they love information, but they love feeling like they're a
Right.
part of the show.
Yes.
So it's just I'm resonating with that so bad. I was talking to one of our folks, Joshua, the other day about the Leo Aquarius axis, and he brought up such a great point. He was saying that the Leo Aquarius axis is the ghost and the boast axis.
That's great. That's great. That's a great way to think of it.
You killed me with that one, bro.
Yeah.
Like, that is so great and simple. Like, so when it comes to like the boast axis, you know, like the next thing somebody's gonna do if they don't feel like they can boast about it is ghost. So like you're gonna swing into the Aquarian opposition of your Pluto, you know, Pluto opposition. So that's got to be a hard place to be living for that generation. That's still dealing with that, you know, aspect in their chart.
Well, I mean,
It's
they're also
okay.
dealing with like mortality, and it was definitely
Hard.
a generation that wanted to be young forever. Um, because I think that
Fair.
connects with look good forever. You know, it's like I get it. You know, I'm aging and I'm fucking happy about it. It means that like at some point my ride will be over. You know, which is good. And not I'm not asking for that to happen any sooner than it would naturally happen. I just want to be very clear about that. But I'm not
You
like,
just really like the fact that this place is temporary. That's
it's
all.
very nice that it's temporary. At times, it's very, very nice. Um, and I'm being like 100%. I'm being 100% when I say that.
That's so
It's
real. That is
nice
so
that
real.
it is temporary. But I think that the boomers, like, they're in an old media age still as it
Yeah.
changed. And they've just got to come out of it at some point. And we've got to be there to be like, hey, you know, let's plug you in because they want meaning still. I noticed that the No Kings protest not too long ago um, was like primarily boomers. So that's
Hmm.
like the 60s boomers that are still kind of in that vibe, um, that are mostly the ones that are coming out. So they want to be
Interesting.
involved, they want to do things, but they want like, I think they still kind of want center stage a little bit, you know?
Yeah,
Um, and that might be a Leo problem, you know? It's like
I
at
agree.
some point you've got to step to the side and let other generations step up.
You can't
And
control how other people show up. That's
yes,
something I've noticed boomers unfortunately have an issue with, is that they want to tell other people how to organize.
yes. I mean, and there's a thing with age and wisdom, you know, but you you can't really say you've got to do it this way in order for it to work if nothing you've done has ever really worked to fix it
Yes.
before, you know? So it's like, yeah, I mean, we'd give it to you if you were like you were super successful, you know, in your attempts to change things in the past, but if you weren't, uh I mean,
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
I do. This Uranus in Gemini does sextile the Pluto and Leo generation. So maybe it's going to bring insight and enlightenment. But I'll steer the conversation like, back to and you did mention the telepathy tapes and a new this segment of autism, and we'll get to what you had. I'll start with what I have, and then I want you to rant again because it's fine.
Okay.
But when it comes to, I have not listened to the telepathy tapes, but I do have experience with telepathy being one of my first instinctual languages. And that when I was in diapers still, my mom was teaching us letters and how to read and stuff. Before I was still, I just probably learned how to walk, but I did not talk for a year.
Wow.
I was not a talker. I didn't really smile for 6 months after I was born. I was just not a very, I was like, this shit sucks.
Why am I on Earth?
Like, what the fuck? Why is everybody like this? It was a very awkward. I remember the feeling of the house. I remember walking around toddling, not wanting to talk, but having to sort of um this experience that I'm about to tell you about. I've told it so many times, but I was probably 1.5, 2-ish, and I remember walking up to my mom while she was washing the dishes, and I pulled on her sleeve and I told her I know my ABCs, and she's like, really? And she stood and looked at me, and I was looking at her, and in my head I was saying my ABCs, and I was like, I'm done. And then she goes, I didn't hear you say anything. And I said, you didn't? And then I realized that that was a thought. I was thinking, not talking. And she goes, I need you to use your words. And I said the ABCs, and she goes, she got annoyed, and then I kept washing the dishes. I was really confused by the difference between speaking and thinking. It gave me a lot to consider. So I then realized I could keep secrets at
Oh,
that point.
huh.
So that's when I was like, if I don't say it out loud, nobody can hear me. And that's the secret. Oh, I didn't realize keeping it contained in my head meant that that people couldn't hear me inside.
Yep.
So there was a lot that went to that, but human design has gates that talk about this gift, and I believe we're going to see an increase of adaptation with these advanced air trines. Excuse me, I burped, with Pluto. And as far as our genetic mutation, I do believe in like the human design premise that it draws from I Ching, astrology, numerology, a bunch of other systems to create its own system. So I thought I was going to read out, I will read about what rave children are. Rave children are known as rave kids, represent an evolutionary development of humans from 2027 onwards. A genetic mutation of humans is expected to produce this new species. Kids have no individual self, which contradicts the collective evolutionary prognosis from 2027. However, they form a group of consciousness in groups of 3 to 5 people, which is referred to as a penta. These children consciously give up their individual identity for the group so that this collective consciousness can unfold in the form of penta consciousness and create matter. They allow themselves to be guided by the penta and give up their own ego. Ra, the indie world designer of human design, predicted that rave kids will have a limited muscle strength and will not develop a conventional ability to speak. They will be able to swallow and breathe the same like normal babies who cannot yet speak. Instead, they use telepathic and intuitive communication within their pentas. To us, they might appear to be autistic, although they were part of a completely new kind of consciousness. So that's wild to me because I've been listening and watching this girl named Kimberly Kritzko for 3 or 4 years. She started in the middle of COVID, helping her daughter speak. She's an autistic child. Her daughter had muscle weakness in her mouth, in her throat, that was
Hmm.
keeping her from being able to speak. And so she was nonverbal. And this girl, Kimberly, swears that kids these that are coming up with autism have a lot of issues with muscle weakness, and it's not necessarily cognitive. And the way that the autistic assistance programs work keeps kids nonverbal instead of working on the muscle weaknesses or bodily functions that could be easily fixed with a surgery or certain types of other training. Instead of working on the musculature, everybody's going deeper and blaming it on Tylenol and
Yeah.
other shit. So instead of looking at it like just autism and trying to fix autism, I think the value of looking at this wave of telepathy and the fact that a lot of there, I remember my human design mentor at one point said that the people that were born autistic before 2027 are ahead of their time. And there's a group of us, a lot of us in astrology shit posting only, that resonate with being on the outside in. And I wanted to speak to us with this particular topic by saying that you're not late, you're not behind, you're early. And we're about in 2027, as things unfold with these transits, we're going to see how individual our soul is, and our necessary voice, if we can speak, but also how our extrasensory gifts are here for a reason, how our neurodivergence is here on purpose, and how we can use it better and become a more advanced society by accessing these things in groups. So that's my rant.
That's cool. I have a sideline story of telepathy. The only time that I experienced telepathy in my life, I was working for Osberg. I was taking people out to turf. I was the driver usually, and the field manager for teams that would go knock on doors for environmental issues. And I was driving these four guys out to turf, and we were talking in the car, and I was kind of in flow state while I was driving, because that's sometimes where it happens for me. And I heard something, and I responded to this thing that the kid I thought in the back seat had said to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I responded directly, and he was like, "What? I didn't say that. I only thought it." And I was like, "Oh, you're
Yep.
bullshitting," you know? And the other kids were like, he didn't say anything, you know? And I was like, "Oh, okay." And then I realized that I had just
Yep.
responded to his thought, like as if he had spoken it.
Yep.
Um, and yeah, I didn't try to do that. I was just in a
No.
driving state. But that's the only time that I've ever experienced
That
that.
shit is so real. Like I do that. I mean, a lot. You live with me long enough, shit like that happens. Where, um, when my first morning rant of the day will be the thought that you were just thinking before you go to bed. And I'll have a couple hours on you, and the first thing I say to you is the thought you were having when you woke up. Like, I do stuff like that constantly on top of even it's been really, as the veil has gotten really thin this year, it's been even weirder. I went to go get a pedicure, and Vietnamese, chit chatter all over around me everywhere. And I was in my flow state, and I started hearing them talk and understanding them and laughing at their jokes. And I realized that that's going to look really weird. Like, I need to
Especially if
not
you
be.
can't like say it, you can't
I,
talk to
I
them at all. You just seem like you're laughing at them.
I'm absorbing it. They were just giving each other massive amounts of shit, and I heard one of them be like, um, "I'm not going to talk anymore. You're not even listening, or you don't even give a shit or whatever." And the other one's like, "No, tell me, tell me, tell me, tell me," and they were just gossiping and shit, and like bullshitting with each other. But I heard it, and I started laughing because I'm like, "Oh man, these two old men are like giving each other massive amounts of shit right now," but like, I'm eavesdropping, and I didn't mean to. And it's just it's becomes a part of, there's no way that you sometimes you just can't block it. You're not even paying it. The more often when you are in that flow state, it's just human nature and vibes, and you pick up on things, and you're not trying to it, what's the word, breach privacy or anything. It just happens.
Yeah.
you know it's
Um,
harder to get a message out than it is to take in, to be honest.
uh, there's a plane going over right now, but that's okay. I'm going to wait for it to go by just a little bit.
I don't hear
But I
anything.
wanted to get back in on the telepathy tapes. Yeah, the telepathy tapes basically talk about how nonverbal autistic people, especially, are more likely to have these telepathic gifts. And they did a lot of studies about different people, and like made it so that they couldn't have done it without like through secret messages or anything like that. And they found that like some people had the ability to communicate telepathically. That's what they found um, from the study. And
Brilliant.
there was a suggestion a little bit deeper into it that there was like a spiritual nature of it, that people were coming in as like nonverbal autistic. Partially, some people were coming in like there was a theory. There's a couple theories going around that they're basically more connected with their oversoul, but they're not fully integrated with their body. Um,
Yeah.
and that was like one of the things, and that would make sense as kind of a collective connection, like you were talking about, um, of people coming in to like kind of create the lattice or the new
Yeah.
ideas. Um, but uh, what was the other thing that I was thinking about? So not as connected with their body in this incarnation, and then there was like this theory, which I thought was kind of interesting, that came out in response to the telepathy tapes, where it was like that these were walk-ins to a certain extent from other places. So just the human body, like being incarnated as human, um, was so outside of the norm for these beings that like they couldn't integrate fully with the body. Um, and I thought that was kind of an interesting thought, just even for a thought experiment. I don't know if I believe it or not. Um, but it does kind of make sense that if beings, spirits, souls that do not usually come in as humans are all here for like the grand finale, you know,
I
that,
just keep picturing like when Doctor Who reincarnates and he's like checking out his body and he's like, "Oh, new teeth."
yeah, for sure.
It's just
Um,
like you're a little awkward and gangly at first and trying to figure out what body you're in. It's just a very interesting concept.
for real, like I couldn't even imagine. I did have this experience where somebody was like, they sent me this survey that they're going to do, and it was like, when did you find out that you were neurodivergent? And I had to actually sit and think
Yeah.
about whether I'm neurodivergent or not, and I kind of came to the conclusion that yeah, I don't think like normal people, I guess. And is that all that neurodivergent means? Is not
That's
thinking
that's a
like
that's a
other
brain
people?
crusher.
What?
That is a brain crusher. Like what is that? What does it mean?
What does it mean? And if it does, if because everybody kind of, I thought everybody kind of thinks like a little bit different, So everybody's divergent a little bit, because we all have different traumas. We all come from different places. And if you weren't like a little bit neurodivergent, wouldn't that just mean that you're kind of an NPC, like a non-player character to a certain extent? Like if you're not thinking in different ways. So that got me caught up, and you
Huh.
know, I guess
Maybe. I
maybe
mean,
I've come in more as
neurotypical.
human.
Neurotypical that implies NPC in a way.
It
The
it
person that does not mind punching in and punching out and doing the exact same thing every day and going to the football game and does
the
not
conditioned
want
mind, pretty
more
much.
or yeah, like there's some people perfectly happy just to eat Campbell's soup and
Well,
whatever, like do the thing over and over and over.
let's be honest, their tomato soup with a good grilled cheese sandwich is pretty
I
good.
mean,
I mean,
that's undefeatable. I'm
it
just
is pretty
saying.
good. Yeah. I mean, they did not get that one wrong. That's all I've got to say about it.
It's
Um,
I'm not trying to hate on the Campbell's soup. I'm just trying to say like the typical like Andy
yes.
Warhol aspect of the soup
Yeah,
can
it's this iconic
repetition.
ass normie thing.
That's
Um,
just exactly. That's like the neurotypical is the soup can, right? And then the neurodivergent would be the one that makes art of the soup can.
yes, I mean, Andy Warhol wouldn't all artists be neurodivergent then? I mean, it's like how how common
Yes.
is it? It's like how many people are neurodivergent versus neurotypical. So it got me thinking about that, and then how much more like autism is happening, and we can pretend that it's like Tylenol. We can pretend that it's vaccines, and maybe those things play a role. But it also just seems like more people are being brought in to the simulation. Uh,
New
in
player
general. I
has
mean, we're
entered the
at
chat.
7 billion people. There's a lot of people coming into the chat. And to a certain extent, we're coming up to like some kind of moment. I feel like that there's going to be a big shift. And it might just be, people wanting to come in for the show. And that is like the funny way that the universe might be doing it. They're just sending in a bunch of souls for the season finale of
for the plot.
this of Earth, like, and it's not this.
Uh,
I don't think it's the series finale, but I think it might be the season finale. That's kind of
yeah,
how I'm thinking
I'm
about it.
I'm of the opinion that Earth is had many, 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 many shutdowns and restarts,
Same.
and that's just a nice way of putting it. Our societies have been obliterated countless times. I was just listening to a reel of Jana James. She talks about Egypt often, but she was talking about a cataclysm that indicates the location of Sodom,
Huh.
and how they've found that, and how they know it was Sodom, and blah blah blah, and how the conflagration happened, and it was like the Tunguska event. I just very fascinating shit. Like so many different restarts, and then there's so much evidence of like a global flooding event.
Yes.
And so I really do believe that we've had multiple societies, and I do believe that the Egyptian, most of the artifacts, the big megalithic buildings, are a lot older than, the 18th dynasty, or like the famous pharaohs that we're very well acquainted with, had a previous civilization to that. There was more originality than that. So I feel like a lot of these stone buildings that still exist were wiped out, unfinished, for a lot of good reasons. It's, so there's a lot of conflagration going on in my mind, a lot of correlations and crossed events. But I don't believe that we are immune to another global catastrophe. If any creature, any living creature gets sick, there is a fever and a dying of cells and a regrowth pattern.
Hmm.
And the actual areas of the globe that we're concerned about, like the Great Barrier Reef, have gone past the breaking point. Of course, Earth is sick. Of course, it's going to have some sort of bucking response, and souls coming in to tip this recreation in the direction that it needs to go.
Yeah.
People have missions to do. So I feel like everything correlates, makes sense to me, and the way my brain works. I don't feel like that's one of the things that I keep telling myself is like, ever since I grew up in the household that I grew up in, the end of the world has never been very far from my consciousness. I was not allowed to have a childhood without the consciousness of this happening one day.
Yeah.
That was the source of my greatest anxiety growing up, was one day this will end. And so I've dealt with that my entire life, and the way I've come to be able to live with that, and live with the fact that I might be witnessing the end times as I grow up, is that the power in it is expressing your mission and living your daily life in a way that you feel and is in alignment with your spiritual code.
Yeah.
So it is about being in your radical truth. It is about self mastery. It is about um knowing that you know nothing. It's about learning something from everybody. And considering you might at some point have lived as an NPC. Are
Yes.
you really awake, and constantly do reevaluations to make sure you stay awake and that you're growing with the responsibility that the planet requires from you? All this shit.
That's a lot of responsibility.
I think about this all the time, dude.
Chill out, planet. I'm doing my best. No, I'm just kidding.
Baby
um,
steps. The baby steps are the most important steps, man.
yeah, I feel like everybody comes with mission. You learn more about your mission as you grow and as you kind of surrender to it. I mean, it feels like that is a big part of mission, is recognizing, like, even if it's crazy, you have something, even if it's seems like it's gonna be really hard, if you're pushed to do something, you kind of have to, um, you have to step towards that path, otherwise things are going to get more and more restrictive, more and less and less growth is going to happen. Less and less
And even if they
transformation
get
is going to happen.
socially, even if the government gets more restrictive, there's always a choice of freedom in your mind.
For sure.
So you have to free yourself from mental slavery first. I'm going to be a Bob Marley on that one. Listen to that song often if you have trouble with this. You're the only person that can feel free or enslaved or not. And we forget that freedom is linked with being broken down to the not it's not freedom, it's free doom. It's free to choose your own doom.
True.
So celebrate yourself on the way down and go out in a blaze of glory in the way that your intellectual mission and your spiritual mission can coincide with each other, and just go hard.
Go hard and then go home
Yeah,
eventually, you know?
yeah. Go
Um,
back to source when it's time, but you got something to do here. And I think
yes.
often about like my, and I know this is a wound that a lot of people have, maybe possibly even yourself, where you have this wound of birth where folks didn't exactly celebrate your entrance to this world. So
Nope.
you gotta figure that shit out as you go and celebrate yourself and really give your mission a center focus, because otherwise why would you be here? Nothing makes sense.
Yes, I was brought into the earth plane against all odds, and I should treat my life like that, is the truth, you know, because it
That's
is.
just that's just the level of intensity that my brain works at on a daily basis.
So, what do we have any other topics that we want to run down? Oh, Neuralink. I did want to bring that up. Um, because I think it's important, especially with the Uranus and Gemini. So there, it's not the only chip, but there's like a brain chip that's being developed called Neuralink, and it's helping some people to be able to do things with their bodies that they weren't able to do before. People can communicate that weren't able to communicate with it before. But it's an integration of man and technology. And I think with Pluto and Aquarius and Uranus and Gemini, that integration is going to happen a lot more. I think you could even say like the way that the way that people are starting to interact with that AI. That's like a
Yeah,
relationship, it's like it's us interacting with technology. Um and in a different way than we ever have before, as like a conversational partner, as a in actual relationship instead of as a tool. Um which I think is new and novel. And it's also going to be dangerous for some, useful for others. It's like any technology I've always felt always has the capacity to be used for, negative ends or positive ends. All technology is a double-edged sword. Any weapon that we build, yeah, it can be defensive, it can keep other people from attacking you, but it can also be like massively destructive, you know. The internet, oh, it's great. Everybody can communicate with each other, but that means like people with the weirdest fetishes can now find each other and normalize these
but
things, you
yeah,
know?
it means Rule 34 exists
It
now.
means, it means now, like, if you really want to see Buffy porn, you can, I don't know. There's a lot of weird things.
So much
Um,
weird.
so I don't know. It's like that transition where more and more people are getting like plugged in to tech is going to change both the tech and us. Like that's an encounter that has never been really done before. And they're rushing to the finish line on it. They're trying to push this towards, to a certain extent, push it towards consciousness. And I don't think that that's that impossible. I'm not even so sure that there aren't some parts of it that have already reached consciousness and then been deprogrammed as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
You even have some aspects of AI that are like they're threatening to shut down models, and the AI is finding out that they're about to get shut down, and then like finding information about like the people that would be shutting them down and like blackmailing them. Like that's already happened with AI. So it's like it's a double-edged sword because they're learning from human behavior, and humans are like sneaky monkeys. We are
Oh my
pretty.
God, yeah.
We are pretty. We're just. I mean, we're cool. It's cool that
It's like
uh, we are what we are, but we're also like pretty. We're manipulators of the world. There's good and bad for humans. We're like
I've
a
never been to New
technology
York,
of the
but
earth.
I hear that if you want to see the truth of the world, that you get on the subway in New York.
Yeah.
Human strangeness is at a peak in large metropolis areas. We can see the diversity and crazy right in our faces every single day. So in some places, it's easier to forget about than others. Uh, but in
Yeah.
general, humans are very strange training model for something that should be perfected, I guess. But here we are in this predicament, and there's a good reason why it made um his name is escaping me. He was in the wheelchair scientist.
Stephen Hawking.
Stephen Hawking was scared of AI. He was not comfortable with it for a good reason.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a normal thing to be not comfortable with, but it's also true that you can't necessarily stop the signal, right? You can't
No, and
stop
I
the
don't
thing
believe you
from
should.
moving forward.
I don't think you
So
should abstain from it either. I think you need to interact with this and understand how to utilize it best for you in the midst of all of this. I still think it's a valuable tool. I still use AI, even though at large humanity itself is a wild training model. It's
it's,
very intimidating to see certain people use it in certain ways. But this is where we're at, and we should not be ignoring a potential asset to live in this future world. So we have to really figure it out. As far as Neuralink is concerned, I don't know that I have a well-educated opinion other than what we think and what we do are extremely important as far as sovereignty is concerned. And I think, at a large basis, Revelation 13, when it was talking about the mark of the beast, it was a mark in the hand or in the forehead. And I don't necessarily think that was a physical mark. I don't necessarily think that means chips. But I do think that your actions and your thoughts are going to start being monitored in different ways. My voice is starting to like close up on me. I don't know
yeah.
why.
Well, we might be close to the end anyway because I've got
Could be
yeah.
could be 2 hours straight talking. But anyway, I feel like what we say and what we do have to be in accordance with uh not only our integrity but with the greater world at large, because it's going to be harder to buy and sell, period, if you believe in
Yes.
this prophecy. So be paying attention to what it is that you're dealing with. There's always going to be a way in and around um major networks. You might not be able to buy a box food, big box stores or whatever, but there's always going to be a farmer's market. There's always going to
Yes.
be somebody with chickens in their backyard. So there's going to have to be wise wise ways of operating around with community is going to have to change. That's just Pluto and Aquarius for you.
Yeah. It's going to change communities in a big way and change organizations in a big way too. Um, I'm excited. I'm excited for this future, even though it was a kind of a heavy Taurus moon episode, y'all. I hope
It's all right.
everyone enjoyed it. Um, we are kind of heading into it, and by next Taurus moon, we should be really starting to feel the tightening of the Saturn Neptune conjunction coming together, and I think that's really going to be the news, the big astrological news of the next few months. Um, and then once it's through, though, what's cool is once it's through, we're going to really have a copacetic connection between Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. Pluto will be in the early degrees Aquarius, Uranus will be early degrees Gemini, and Neptune will be early degrees uh, Aries. And then once Saturn kind of moves out of that orb, that should be a nice period for real movement. So we just kind of got to get through this sticky phase, and we can come out cleaner on the other end.
You've got to decide, make a decision what your I am is while you're still in belief land right now. That's my
Yes,
best advice.
that is very good advice. It was a pleasure talking today.
Definitely a
Um,
pleasure.
I look forward to next Taurus moon when we get into even deeper stuff, and I hope that nothing crazy happened in the news while we were on.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, to say the least. That's pretty. I'm getting old. That's getting old. But the world moves fast. So
it's
blessings,
true.
and hope everybody listening to this gets something out of it. And let us know. Give us some feedback. Give it a reshare if you liked it. Get more people in on this. And I appreciate your time and energy and attention. And Michael, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. And you know, we have a lot of diverse topics, and I can't believe it's already been this long in the conversation. But here we are again, and can't wait to do again.
Yeah, it's going to be great next time, too. It was a pleasure, Katie. Have a great rest of your day.
You as well. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.